Since this is my first video, I am going to give you a proper introduction. Hi, hello, how are you? And happy Halloween. My name is Spooky Chai, and today I am going to be reviewing the movie Smile 2. Smile 2 is about a pop star named Sky Riley who is preparing to go on tour after she was in a tragic accident. The smiling demon, as we know from the first movie, latched onto Sky and tormented her until she was losing her insanity and can't tell what's real or not. When I first watched the trailer, I was getting major 80s vibes, and I actually thought that it was going to take place in the 80s, but in the movie you can definitely see that they were going for like a modernistic 80s aesthetic, from like the camera angles, the lightings, the ambiance, even the synthesizers that they were using to build up suspense before a jump scare. I think they did a pretty good job with that, but also it was getting a little repetitive. Like they kept using the same camera angle, the same transition over and over again, where it was like, okay, we already seen that, what more can you give us? Like, for example, a lot of modern day horror movies will do that inverted camera drone shot where everything is upside down and they're panning over like the city or the countryside or wherever the character is going. They flip it upside down, and for me, I get so motion sick, and I don't know why. It was kind of like giving me a little bit of a headache every time they were doing that, because I'm like, okay, we already seen that like a billion times. But I also feel like it could be sort of like symbolism, like turn that frown upside down, like maybe it's supposed to be, kind of like a smile, or maybe it's just to show that Sky's world is spiraling out of control and it's upside down flipped. I just felt like it was getting a little too repetitive with the transition. With the modernistic 80s feel to the movie, I was actually kind of right, because I read an article that Parker Finn, the director of the first Smile movie and the second Smile movie, he said this was supposed to be a homage to The Shining, because the person who plays Sky Riley's boyfriend, Ray Nicholson, he is actually the son of Jack Nicholson, the dad from The Shining, which I had no idea. You couldn't really see it in the face, but when you see the picture of him smiling and you put it side by side with his dad, it's like, oh my gosh, they're twins. But I had no idea, and I just thought that was a really cool fact. So it's like, okay, they have the 80s aesthetic down. I think they did a really good job on it, like I said. But the one thing they were lacking about an 80s horror film, if they wanted to really go that route, is just having like an in-depth understanding of the characters. I just felt like there wasn't that connection that an 80s horror film has. And I'm not saying we should go back to the 80s and do like a 45-minute to an hour scene of just understanding the characters and then getting into the plot, but it's like we really didn't get that connection with Sky like we did with the first movie with Rose. And she's a pop star, and I felt like you could do a lot of things with that. And I'm not saying that she didn't have her own trauma where a lot of celebrities have, but it's like, okay, I wish we knew more about Sky and just more about her personality, but we really didn't get that dynamic with her like we did with Rose. This probably doesn't matter, but I still wanted to talk about it. And going into this movie, I was really hoping it wasn't going to be like the movie Trap by M. Night Shyamalan, which is basically about a guy who takes his daughter to a concert and they're trapped there. But the thing is that the singer for the concert is M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. And it just felt like we were watching a 2.5 hour music video than an actual psychological thriller. It just felt like it was supposed to be a hard launch to her music career than what the plot was actually supposed to be. And I was thinking, okay, so how is Smile 2 gonna differentiate from Trap? Like, how are they going to balance out like the singing and the performance? Because we know Sky Riley is a pop star with the actual plot, and I feel like they did like a way better job than Trap, but it almost became predictable as to what was going to happen next when she started singing. It was just like, okay, this happened, so now we know that when she starts to sing and perform, this is about to happen, which it was like, it didn't really like catch you off guard. Naomi Scott, the actress who plays Sky Riley, she did such a phenomenal job. Like, she is such a great actress, and she really delivered a wide range of emotions. Like, she can instantly go from breaking down crying to rage in a flawless transition. and she really did give it her all. But again, the way that they created her character, they didn't give her that in-depth story like we got in the first movie, and I feel like that's disappointing because the way that she can display her emotions, they literally could have done so much more with her character to show us like how amazing she is, because she really did take the script and she just made it perfect the best she could. Because it's like we didn't really get a lot from her character, not like her as an actress, but just from her character. It's like, okay, she's showing us all these emotions, but again, we don't really know Sky. We don't really have that connection with Sky. Like, there was this scene where she's sitting in front of a piano and she's looking at old pictures, and she was in a very vulnerable moment, and they cut that short, and we could have gotten a lot out of that interaction, more than what we got in the whole movie. And when I seen that, it kind of reminds me of when you're coming home crying and you walk in the door and you sit on the couch and you're like, let me just breathe, and then your dog just comes and just like shoves the toy in your face, like, play with me, I don't care that you're sad. Like, just like, it reminded me of that. Like, you're in a vulnerable state, you're emotional, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna relax, and then you just have like a squeaky toy in your ear, like, no, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta keep going. So we understand the premise from the first movie. The first movie was obviously gonna be amazing because the concept is new. You have a smiling demon just terrorizing you. You can't trust anybody who smiles at you. Like, okay, that's a great concept. But then with the second movie, it really makes you think, okay, what are they going to do different? Because you know the premise and how it's going to be, but how can you make that more scarier? But we didn't really get that in this movie because everything was kind of predictable, and it just wasn't, to me, it just wasn't that scary. The jump scares, yeah, I mean, jump scares are jump scares, but at the same time, I feel like there's a difference between just throwing jump scares in a movie and then actually walking away and be like, I'm terrified of what I just seen. I felt like that's a huge difference, but I just felt like they were throwing in jump scares to fill in holes in the plot, like just throwing a jump scare here so we can move on. But they could have easily filled that with dialogue, just like the first movie. I felt like the first movie was just gradually getting more creepy, getting more scary. I wouldn't say there was a lot of jump scares in the first movie compared to this movie, definitely not, but it was like kind of like gradually getting worse. But in this movie, right off the back, it's just like everything is a jump scare, which is a little disappointing because it's like, okay, that concept isn't new, but we really don't get any originality in this movie. So not only is Naomi an amazing actress, but she was also an amazing singer. She was singing the songs in the movie, and I didn't realize that she was actually singing the songs. I thought it was a voiceover because there's a lot of movies that do voiceovers whenever the character has to sing. Cough cough. Troy from High School Musical. How are you gonna cast someone in a musical and he, never mind, let me not get into that. But she actually has her own EP album out from the movie, own soundtrack, and I thought that was amazing because I didn't realize that she sings too. But then when I was looking in other movies that she's been in, she is homegirl from Lemonade Mouth. And if you're an older millennial or maybe just over the age of 30, you're probably like, what's a Lemonade Mouth? But on Disney Channel, circa 2010, 11, 12, I can't remember, there was a popular movie called Lemonade Mouth, and it was about a group of teenagers who started a band, and she was in that movie. I love that movie, and I did not know that was her. But now when I go back and see a younger picture of herself, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I not make that connection that that is her? So I just found that really cool. Not only was she being an amazing actress and really practicing her range of emotions, she was also singing the songs, performing, and I thought that was amazing. So overall, I did really like the movie, even though I feel like there's some things that could have been differently. I still really liked it, just how I liked the first movie, and I'm really excited to see Smile 3 because I know for a fact that they have to make a Smile 3 now because of the way Smile 2 ended, and I feel like that just opens the doors for other possibilities. It just really makes you think, okay, how are they going to create Smile 3 now that we know how the movie ended? I hope it turns into like a Final Destination movie where it's just multiple movies and they're still trying to figure out how to stop this. Like, that's what I'm hoping for with this. Like, you could still be creative and still have the same concept, but you just have to keep the audience on their toes. But if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. I have so many ideas on what I want to do here. I think my next idea is to review a psychological thriller book. So if you're interested in also book reviews and movie reviews and vlogs and just a whole other bunch of things that I want to do on here, then you could go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.